What is up, you hooligans? Today I'm going to talk about some rookies that I think have league-winning upside. Now, I'm not saying that you should always draft these players if they're available to you. What I'm saying is that I think that these players have a path laid out to them to potentially do some great things this year. So, let's get into it. Yarp! Okay, so just briefly, I'm not really going to talk about Marvin Harrison. For one, I'm going to talk about him in another video soon, more in depth. And two, he's being drafted early in the second round. I think we all know that he is league-winning upside, right? Now, who I do want to talk about first and foremost is Malik Neighbors, drafted to the New York Giants. All right, so Malik Neighbors is an incredibly talented player. I mean, just looking at his college stats, 1,500 yards last year, 1,000 the year before. He's a really, really good player, and if you watched him in college, you know that. He's extremely talented, so there's no question there. That's not the issue with him. I know what you're all thinking. Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones. I know. I get it. But let's think about it this way, all right? Saquon Barkley was the entire heart of that Giants offense, and now he's gone. They're going to need to find a new engine to run it through. And I tell you what, it's not going to be Devin Singletary. I love Devin Singletary, but he's not Saquon Barkley. He's a serviceable, solid running back. Nothing crazy. And the receiving core, aside from Malik Neighbors, is pretty weak. You know, they have Jalen Hyatt. That's about it. The rest of them have been on that roster for years and haven't done anything with Daniel Jones, so I don't think we can expect them to. I mean, he's already listed as the wide receiver 1 on the depth chart, as he should be. And again, like, I know that Daniel Jones is not the greatest quarterback, but my point is that Malik Neighbors is going to be the heart and soul of this offense. I think that Brian Daboll and team is going to do literally everything that they can in their power to write up plays that just allows them to get the ball to Malik Neighbors. If they have to make it simple, then that's what they got to do. But I think that really that offense this year is going to 100% just revolve around Malik Neighbors. But I don't think that Daniel Jones is quite as bad as some people make him out to be. You know, he's consistently been throwing for over 200 yards a game, aside from last season. And, you know, his touchdown numbers, as you can see here, are pretty lackluster. 15 in 2022, 10 before that. But rookie year, 24, okay? Like, if we can even get to, like, a similar level to that, if we can get Danny Jones playing or throwing 25 touchdowns again, then, like, I think that Malik Neighbors is going to be such a good pick. I mean, he's wide receiver 25 right now, ADP 55. I think that if you got 2 wide receivers already, then I think Malik Neighbors is a great pick. He has great upside, so yeah. All right, on to our next player. That is going to be Mr. Brock Bowers of the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, so this one's also a little bit tough. You know, they all are. They're rookies. We don't know how they're going to be used in the offense, but I've mentioned this several times. But last year, Raiders took Michael Mayer in the second round and really did nothing with him. I mean, he had a few good plays. That's about it, which was pretty disappointing because I liked him as a prospect. I thought it was a good pick, and then they hardly fucking used him. So what you going to do about that? But, you know, Brock Bowers is really, really just an incredible talent. I don't want to say generational talent because I hate how loosely that term is thrown around nowadays, but he's close to that for sure. He really is. I mean, anybody who watched Georgia the past few years know how that dude was the literal heart and soul of that offense. He could single-handedly win a game for them. So, I mean, baseline, he is incredibly talented, and I am really not a huge AOC believer. I think they should just throw Gardner Minshew in there. I don't see a great future in the NFL for AOC. Whatever, it is what it is. But I don't know. I think that, again, it would be silly to get a talent like this on your team and just not utilize the hell out of him when he's such a versatile player. So Brock Bowers is currently going as tight end 11, ADP 103. So I think that, you know, if you took a tight end earlier, he's a great dude to take an upside shot on later on if you're feeling good with your roster at the moment. You know, obviously you might want to get some more wide receiver depth or running back depth, but, you know, if you're okay with taking Brock Bowers there, I think it's a great upside play. And on the flip side of that, I think you can take him as your first tight end and, you know, take somebody later on in the draft like I don't know, like a Dalton Schultz or a Dallas Goedert, or even like a Cole Kmet or a Pat Fryermuth, you know, kind of somebody who you're not expecting to do great things, but he can kind of be a placeholder until, you know, that anticipated breakout from Brock Bowers shows up. So I think that he's a good value. I think that he could do great things this year. We'll see. Next up is Jaden Daniels. I feel like he can be kind of a divisive player. A lot of people love him, and a lot of people are not so hot on him. And, you know, I think I kind of fall right in the middle. I think he could be a great NFL quarterback. I think also maybe, you know, he could not. That's just the thing with rookie QB prospects. It's hard to tell, you know. Some college game doesn't always transfer to the pros, but I mean, we look at his stats: 3,800 yards in 12 games. You know, that's pretty good. That's good for sure. He's capable of throwing the ball. You know, and dude was in college for so long. He's definitely grown a lot as a player since his Arizona State days. So I think that he's a much more well-refined prospect. I think he's pretty league ready at this point, and I mean the rushing upside. That's the huge thing here, right? I'm not putting Jaden Daniels in this list because of his passing abilities. It's because of his rushing upside. Dude ran for 1,100 yards in 12 games last year. That is pretty dope, and we all know how valuable a rushing quarterback can be in this league, right? I mean, Justin Fields couldn't create a consistent passing game to save his life, but because he was such an incredible rushing threat, he was fantasy relevant, and not even relevant. He was great in fantasy, right? So I think that Jaden Daniels is a great value. He's QB 15, ADP 114. Like, yeah, QB 15. So at that point, you should have another quarterback on your team. So why not just take Jaden Daniels and let him chill on your bench for a few weeks? And if he goes crazy, start him, you know? All right, next I want to talk about Jonathan Brooks, second round pick for the Panthers out of Texas. He's a great player. Absolutely he is. You know, he's the number one running back in a pretty weak running back class, but I think that had he not suffered that injury, he would have gone a bit higher in the NFL draft, but injuries a part of the game, unfortunately. This one's a little bit tough for me because there just really hasn't been many updates on his injury at this point. Like, I was looking before this, and like all the articles were from like a couple months ago, and I'm like, nah, dude, give me something new. Like, I need to know how this dude is doing. But he tore his ACL in November, and you know, the typical timetable for an ACL tear is like 9 months, which would bring us right to August right now. So hopefully he is getting healthy and getting ready to get back out there. But as we all know, man, some running backs just don't come back from that. I mean, look at Javonte Williams. Like, I get he only had 1 season removed from that ACL tear, but he did not even sort of look like the same Javonte Williams last year. And there's plenty of other examples of running backs who just failed to recreate the production that they had pre-ACL tear. So that is a bit scary for sure. But with his talent in that fucking Panthers offense, that fucking dog shit Panthers. No, I'm just kidding. I think that he could be great. I mean, his competition, guys, it's Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders, and he's already above Miles Sanders on the depth chart on ESPN. And Chuba is Chuba, man. I mean, he's never going to be a true RB1. He's way better as a change of pace guy. You do not want to be leaning on Chuba for a full rushing workload. So I think that as long as Jonathan Brooks can get healthy, that job is going to be his within the first few weeks of the season. I think he's more of like a, you know, latter half of the season, maybe championship winner type dude. But I do think that as a whole, that Panthers offense is going to step forward. You know, they got Dave Canales. I anticipate at least somewhat of a step up from Bryce Young. So I'm banking on just the Panthers offense as a whole being better, and that Jonathan Brooks is going to take that starting job pretty quick. So hopefully he's looking like the Jonathan Brooks of old, and that ACL tear didn't doom him. So yeah, he's currently going as the RB31, ADP at 92. I don't know. I think if you have 2 running backs at that point, that he is a great dude to take a shot on. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want him to be your second running back. You absolutely do not want to be starting that guy week 1. But I think that if you got a couple solid running backs you got faith in, then why not take a shot on Jonathan Brooks? It could be super worth it. All right, and then the last one I'm really going to talk about here is Ladd McConkey. So, I've had a bit of a flip on Ladd McConkey. I haven't talked the most highly of him in some of my past videos, but, you know, I kind of thought about it, and I think that some of my arguments kind of help out Ladd McConkey. I think that as a whole, the general public is way too low on the Chargers passing game and Justin Herbert this year, which... oh, fuck, that actually just made me remember that he hurt his foot in training camp the other day, which really, really sucks. Sounds like he's only supposed to be in a boot for a couple weeks, but, oh, man, those foot injuries, they can be sneaky, sneaky little bastards. So, hopefully that is not a lingering injury and he can just recover and move on from it. But back to Ladd McConkey. So, when I was talking about Josh Palmer in one of my other videos, I was talking about that exact thing, how I think that everybody's underestimating this Chargers offense. Justin Herbert is a prolific passer. Obviously, Harbaugh likes to run the ball. And just because there's more of a rushing game does not mean that the passing game is going to completely disappear. It's Justin Herbert. He knows how to huck the ball. Jim Harbaugh can recognize that. So I think it's a little bit weird that he's being drafted as QB 16 when we've seen him, you know, support the hell out of wide receivers. Like, Keenan Allen was going crazy last year, and Justin Herbert is thrown for over 5,000 yards. I don't need to keep going on. My point is, Chargers passing game is being way underestimated right now. I don't anticipate it being the same as last year or the years prior, but he's not going to finish as QB 16, all right? He's going to have a good year. And Ladd McConkey, I know, you look at these college stats and you're like, oh boy, what in the hell is that? But, I mean, if you watched him, he's a really, really good player. He's super shifty, super versatile. He's going to be great out of the slot. So I think with Josh Palmer on the outside and Ladd McConkey in the slot, I think that'll be low-key a hella underrated setup for Justin Herbert. I think that, I know they're not the most prolific names, but I think that he could definitely do some work with those dudes. So yeah, and also, you know, injured last year, so that's part of the reason why that's so underwhelming. But, you know, he also had Brock Bowers in that offense, which Brock Bowers is a fucking target hog, dude. He didn't, like, share the ball. So, yeah, we truly have not seen Ladd McConkey at a high volume yet, which is why, you know, there's a bit of reluctancy with this pick for sure. But I do think that he has that potential league-winning upside. I mean, I've seen some clips of him running routes in training camp, and he looks like separation is not going to be an issue. He looks like he's going to be able to get open, and if he can get open, Justin Herbert's going to hit him, man. And Justin Herbert's a good quarterback, so enough said, bitch. But yeah, he is going as wide receiver 43, ADP of 102. Again, I think if you got some receivers that you are confident in, I think that Ladd McConkey is a good dude to pull the trigger on. I mean, why not? I think that he could be really good. Absolutely. All right, and a couple honorable mentions real quick. So Trey Benson, he's going as RB36, ADP 105. I didn't include Trey Benson and this next guy too, mostly because their argument to league-winning upside is so contingent on another player getting injured, and I don't really like doing all that. So I just figured I would throw them on here as honorable mentions. But I mean, it has to be said, James Conner has never played a full season in his entire career, and he went crazy last year. He was averaging 5 yards a carry. I think he had 10 touchdowns, like low-key, maybe the best career of his season. And I believe that was season 8, either 7 or 8, one of the two. So yeah, he's getting up there in age. He's injury-prone, so I think that Trey Benson's path comes from James Conner getting injured, but if that were to happen, I think that Trey Benson could go stupid. And then, yep, another guy on a totally similar note, Blake Corum. You know, Kyron Williams has suffered his injuries throughout the years, for sure. Definitely some concerns there. But Blake Corum is going as RB39, ADP 119. I mean, I think that if you take Kyron in the second round, you might as well go out there and get his handcuff in Blake Corum. You know, he's going at the end of the 9th round, 10th round. You're not giving up anything crazy for him. And if Kyron goes down, you know that you're going to be able to start Blake Corum. We've all seen that Rams offense, how weird the running back room can operate, and how they'll bring in the most random fucking dudes, Darrell Henderson, Ronnie Rivers, whoever the fuck. and they will, still put up some numbers, right? They'll be able to have some production. And guess what? Blake Corum is way fucking better than those chumps. So if Kyren does go down, Blake's going to be that dude. Absolutely. So again, if you draft Kyren in the second round, do yourself a favor and take Blake at the end of the 9th. Okay? Just, it'll be worth it. So first, Roma Dunze. So don't get me wrong, he's hella talented. I love him as a prospect. I think that he's going to have a great NFL career, but right now I'm just not really interested in taking him because, I mean, you have 3 wide receivers in that Bears offense going in the top 42 wide receivers, which I can't remember exactly what the metric was, but the fantasy footballers were talking about it, how when you have 3 wide receivers going that early from the same team, at least one of them is bound to not live up to that draft position. The only example I can think of right now is, I believe it was Juju, Chase Claypool, and Deontay Johnson. And shocker, Chase Claypool and Juju did not live up to their draft position. So I think that you have to be careful, for one, with 3 wide receivers going that high. And 2, we're talking about a rookie quarterback here supporting all them. Rookie quarterbacks are notorious for having low touchdown production, which you're going to need for sure when you have 3 wide receivers in that offense who are threats. You're going to need a lot of touchdowns to be able to support all of them in fantasy. Typically, rookies don't throw for huge amounts of yards, too. I think that Caleb has potential to hover right around 4,000, but, I mean, without crazy touchdown production, that's just not going to be enough. So, too many mouths to feed in that offense. And perfect transition into Caleb. I figure some of you are probably wondering why I would put Jaden Daniels on this list and not Caleb. Rushing upside. Really, enough said with that. Caleb is mobile. He's a good scrambler, but he does not have the rushing upside that Jaden Daniels does, so that's why he's not here. Xavier Worthy, he's just a little too deep on that depth chart for me. I mean, we got Rashee Rice, who looks like he's going to go without a suspension this year, and then we have Hollywood Brown there, and obviously we still have Kelsey. And Pacheco, not the biggest receiving threat, but he can catch the ball. So yeah, I don't see that league winning upside out of Xavier Worthy this year. Frankly, same goes for Brian Thomas Jr. He's got Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis in front of him. Yeah, say what you will about Gabe Davis, but he's still capable of sucking up targets. So I just think that with those 2 there, and then Evan Ingram and ETN is a pretty versatile pass catching back. Yeah, I don't see the league-winning upside for BTJ. Last one, Keon Coleman. I think I really thought about putting him on here, but I don't know. This one's more a personal thing. I struggle to see Keon becoming like a true number 1 absolute stud wide receiver. I think that he could be a great supporting piece, wide receiver 2, maybe putting up like 1,000 yards, something like that. But I don't quite know if he has what it takes to, truly be a stud in the league and have that league winning upside. And that one's just me. I could be totally wrong on that. Feel free to disagree, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's really all that I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Like and sub, and we will catch you in the next one. Yo!